Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is the South American history. I just came back from a panel, but just give me 1 second. Shit, I'm here for a minute. Yeah, I got to start this stream. I just got off a panel over at Kudas, but let me get something right quick because I know this is going to be interesting right now because I already got 2 likes already. All right, I'm gonna straighten this out because sometimes these streams can be hectic, and I'm gonna put this in a playlist right now. Yeah, get my Dark Years series, and then I'll do that. I'll talk about something totally different when I'm doing it. I ain't gonna run out of playlists like that. So what we're gonna talk about last week, we talked about North America, and we talked about the prehistoric America. Please watch that stream. It's in the Dark History Log. You can check it out if you miss it. That was like I believe it was a 2-hour stream. And I know this ain't gonna be open discussions or anything. I'll do that this Friday. But for me, we're talking about South America. We get the introductions, and I'm just saying in so many words. So yeah, and that's what it was. And then you know what I'm saying. I want to say DeAndre, tell him salute. Yeah, I'll tell you about that. And yeah. So we're gonna talk about South America and things like that. So I want to see who's in the chat right now. So oh, nobody in the chat. Good, 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 good. I can read this all. Okay, South America introduction talks about Brazil, Caribbean Sea, Panama, and things like that. Okay, the introduction in its topography, flora, and fauna. The major ancient cultures, cities, or areas and habitations are indicated on this map. And here we go. They talk about the indication in these ancient in the red dots, as you can see. Let me talk about this real quick. I'm gonna put the screen, make it full, and here's right here, and it talks about a lot of things right here. So you see all the red dots in the areas that they talk about, and somewhere in Uruguay and Chile and things like that, in Argentina, and all the red dots. Hold on, if you see all the red dots, that's where you see all the things. So if y'all want to know, I'll send y'all the link after I read this. This is the introduction to South America. Okay, the Andes Mountains. Let's read that. The outsider visiting the Andes perceives two overwhelming geographical realities: the Pacific coastal desert stretching for thousands of miles from the Peru to Chile, and the high Andes Mountains rising parallel to the coast. But these contrasting regions, utter desert on the coast and the high looming mountains to the east, where the bulk of the pre-Columbian population lived at above 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet. But these people could, at several times in Andean history, did the Colosseum, coalesces into a single political entity. Thus, it is possible to speak of a single Andean civilization, even if at times early and late there were no political integration. One indicator of this social unity exists even now. The Quichu, one of the Andean language, the Andean the Andean languages is still spoken by some 10,000,000 of people from northern Ecuador to northern Argentina, a distance of several thousand miles. Okay, we read on the bottom. The Andes consist of the vast series of the extremely high plateaus surmounted by even a higher peaks to form the unbroken rampart over a distance of some 5,500 miles from the southern tip of the South America to the continent of the northernmost coast on the Caribbean. But they separate a narrow western coastal area from the rest of the continent, affecting deeply to the conditions of life within the ranges themselves and surrounding areas. The Andes contain the highest peaks in the Western Hemisphere, but the highest of them in the mountain of Aconcagua, the 22,831 feet. on the border of Argentina and the Chile, and these mountains block rain, producing clouds coming from the east. Thus, the eastern side of the mountains is very, very wet, and the western side of the mountain range is very dry. On the western side of the range, often the only moisture available for the little plant and the animal life that exists. It is condensation from the very thick fogs that form. And here you go, the Andes Mountains right here, as we were looking at. And there's another glimpse of it as well, the South American coastal desert right here. That's where it is. And then the mountains right there. I told you they have mountains. The Andes fauna and flora. The ability of animals and plants, the fauna and flora to live in Andes depends on largely on altitude, although the existence of plant communities is also determined by climate, availability of moisture, and soil. But the existence of animal life is determined by the abundance of food sources. The permanent snow line is therefore the upper limit of the habitation. Some plants and animals can live at any altitude, and others can live only at a certain levels. Cats rarely live above 13,000 feet, whereas the white-tailed mice usually do not stay lower than 13,000 feet and can live up to 17,000 feet. The camelids or llama and guanaco and alpaca and vinchco are animals primarily of the Altapino, aka the Puna, and the high plateaus, 11,200 to 12,800 feet. Although they can live well at lower altitudes, and it is thought that the condor can fly up to 26,000 feet. Yeah, 26,000 feet. My fault. It can thought up to condor can fly up to 26,000 feet. Okay. Here's the condor. It's like an eagle or a hawk, something like that right here. That's the llama right here. The guanaco right here. Yeah, that's in South America. That's the introduction. And then you got the alpacas right here, these animals in South America. And you got the guanaco. Yeah, you got all these down here. So they're showing all the animals and things like that. So yeah. The corduroys. Okay, the corduroys or something like that. Okay, this is in South America. Okay, so we got it right here. I want to check out who's in the chat box and all that. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Waya, appreciate you. Peace, degenerate. So you know how it goes. But yeah, I say the Cordilleras. Yeah, the Cordilleras. Probably the low atmospheric pressures of the high altitudes are less important for vegetations, but the altitude does impose a number of climate variables such as temperature and wind and sun radiation and dryness, which is determine what kinds of plants grow into different parts of the Andes in general. And Andes can be divided into the altitude bands, each with typical predominant flora and fauna, of course, of the latitude of the closeness to the equator, imposes differences between north and south in proximity to the Pacific and the Amazon basin. On the east is reflected in the difference between the internal slopes of the Cordilleras Occidental and Cordilleras Oriental. The Cordilleras is a system of a mountain range with parallel chains. The Occidental equals west, Oriental equals east. The South American Cordilleras extends from Colombia to Bolivia. A zone above a latitude 35 degrees south separates two different regions of the Andes to the south to the Patagonian Andes. The floor is magnificent mid-latitude rainforest of the conifers of the Araucaria and oak, quoing, and evergreen used for thatching, and kuski and cypress and larch are also found. Yeah, this is the thing right here. I'll let y'all see it right here. And this is the places, as you can see. That's the places where I was reading about. So yeah, man. Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem. Yeah. So, you know, just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. That shit. All right. I'm back. Apologize. Had to clean some background. Okay. Characteristics of the North are different. The Cordillera Occidental, and the westernmost of the two, in the Bolivia extends general north and south for the most 750 miles through the length of the country. The Cordillera Real West separates the lowlands of the Amazon River basin to the east from the high plateaus of the Alto Plano to the west. It is extremely dry in the south, slightly humid with moisture and scarce rainfall in central and northern Peru, and a humid with heavy or moderate rainfall in Ecuador and Colombia. So we're going to talk about these places, what they look like in Colombia. And so this is moderate and things like that. Yeah, vegetation follows the climate scene in the south is poor and desert-like, though a high altitude steep vegetation occurs. Exactly. They showed these animals included the guama, puma, the visca, koi, guinea pig, chinchilla, camelids, mice, lizards. Among the birds are the condor, partridges, parina, haluta, and coot. In agricultural potential is poor, but the east side of the Cordilleras, oriental east northward from Bolivia, has a lush vegetation, most of its tropical forest with a rich jungle fauna. Here's a puma right here. That's like a cougar. A puma is kind of like a cougar. It's in South America. Guama, that's a deer. That's some type of deer. The guanmul. And here's that little, is this like a rabbit with the visca? And this is a chinchilla right here. That's where they get all those coats killing this rat. This big ass rat. Like I said, it's a mice. No, it's a fucking rat. All that shit. And the koi right here, this little animals right here, like guinea pigs. But you know, they make furs out of them. It's a shame, but you know, that's part of life. You know, humans are crazy. We like to hunt shit. We like to hunt. So get some on my teeth all the time. Only the Plateau Valley Plains ranges and internal slopes of the Cordilleras live again is closely related to altitude. Tropical palms and internal snow lies, internal snows lie within a few miles of each other, where the altitude may vary from 1,600 feet in the deep gorges to the more than 20,000 feet in the peaks and ridges up to the elevation of 8,000 feet. Vegetation reflects the dry tropical, subtropical climate here. And agriculture is important, but the great coffee industry of Colombia is located mainly in the warm valleys of this zone. There you go. That's in Colombia right here. That's where you can get all your coffee beans and things like that in these areas where they dig them out and things like that. Yes, South America is different. I would love to visit that. The country. A lot of people think it's like America. Yeah, it's similar. It's like home, but I would like to visit the Argentina and them other places. But yeah, South America is different. I ain't gonna lie, that's better than the islands. So that'd be nice if I visit there. Yeah, between 8,200 and 11,500 feet lies the most populated zones of the Andes. Some of the major cities of the Andean countries are there. The zone supports the main part of the Andean agriculture. The temperature vary from warm in the valleys to moderate low, down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit on the plains, savannas, and slopes. There is seasonal rainfall and water from rivers. This zone also is suitable for livestock and poultry farming. So true. Between 11,500 and 13,400 feet terrain is usually rough and difficult for agriculture. In Colombia, this zone is called the Paramo and subparamo with seasonal rainfall. In Ecuador, rain is an abundant, and in Peru and Bolivia is the Paramo has more moderate to scarce rainfall from 13,400 to 15,700 feet to the Puna. And vegetation consists of plants that resist the cold temperatures and nighttime freezing at about 16,000 feet. Vegetation is almost absent. So this is the introduction of South America, and they show you the places right here. So we're gonna be talking about this as well. We're gonna skim down. Oh shit. Oh damn. Oh, my fault. Yeah, I'm right at it. Okay. Let me stop. Yeah, we're gonna get into South America, ancient man, first civilizations. Get this thing loaded up off of yeah. So we introduced into the South Americans. So yeah, we're gonna skip this study that talks about the nature of DNA. That's what they look like in the islands. And we're gonna go with North Chico and things like that. So we're gonna check again who's in the chat. He said, as you diving into South American history, what's your favorite history? My favorite history, um, I will say the dark history. I will say like in Europe about the Moors. That's my personal favorite. I know I dive in this. This one's new because I didn't do pre-records on this. I kind of fall back from this. My favorite one is with the Moors. I will say France and Germany. I stay in that range. Holy Roman Empire. I love the pieces in Rome, put it together, what we have today. So that's my personal favorite. The other histories is nice. I like ancient civilization. My second favorite would be the Chaldeans and things like that. Outside of that, everybody else is fine. But but this one I just want to dive into. So yeah. So I know people is doing their thing. So yeah, he must be new. Yeah. So North Chico and things like that. Because I know it's kind of light tonight. It's kind of light tonight because it's Wednesday. Because Wednesday's my history nights. So yeah, man. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna go strictly pineapple with my girl. Mace always sleep on the damn panel. I don't know what it is. He's always sleeping on the damn panel. He talking about winter predictions. Shit, it's gonna be a cold winter. Let me put this here. Oh, Nathaniel's got one. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of light tonight. Yeah, I only did this right. Man, why is he supporting that fool? I don't even like dudes that he like. I'm sorry. Last time he was subscribing, he was talking shit. I had to cut him off. I'm not feeling dudes like that. Yeah, let me put this in the community. Yeah, because I want to put this. Yeah. Phone keeps acting up. You got so much shit. I'm gonna have to delete some apps. But yeah. Let's go with it. The enigma of ancient South America's development and cultures. We're talking about Norte Chico. Okay, the enigma of the ancient South American development cultures evolved in the building of the monumental structure before they have even learned to make cremax pottery. Is wonderfully illustrated by what many now consider the region's very first civilization, Norte Chico civilization in the Norte Chico region of the coastal central Peru. Some even argue that the Norte Chico is the oldest civilization in the Americas. Norte Chico civilization consists of about 30 major population centers, the oldest center dating from about 9,210 BCE only provides some indication of human settlement in the early archaic era but by 3,200 BCE, human settlement and communal construction are readily apparent. But the most notable of the Norte Chico cities is Caro in the Supe Valley. Caro evacuations were begun in 1994 by Ruth Shady Soils and Peruvian anthropologist and archaeologist. She is the founder of the director of the archaeological project of Carroll. His panel of Carroll showing several pyramids. There's several pyramids right here. We're gonna dive into that. The pyramids I'm showing you. The layout of Supe Valley site of Carroll, 200 kilometers north of Lima, Peru. And they're showing the pyramids right here again, right in here. So let's go back up again. So that right there on the top, in the middle, in the bottom. So here we go. But yeah. So we're gonna get into it. Okay, the ruins of Carroll are located in a arid region, but nearby rivers, some 14 miles from the coast, 120 miles north of Peru's modern capital city of Lima. Carroll was inhabited between I'll say 26, 27 BCE, the 2020 BCE. Yeah, BCE as well. And its land areas were about 150 acres of Carroll City was comprised of 6 pyramids or platform mounds, 2 plazas, and amphitheater and ordinary houses, and population estimated to have been about 3,000, and the living arrangement seems to have been large. Well kept rooms stopped the pyramids from the elite ground level complexes for craftsmen and shabbler outlying shanty towns for workers. But the Norte Chico people were apparently very peaceful people. No evidence of existence of weapons, defense fortifications, no evidence of existence of human sacrifice. In one of the pyramids, they uncovered 32 flutes made of condor and pelican bones, and 37 cornets and made of deer and llama bones. Also found was a primitive Quipu, and it's speculated that the city sustained itself by cotton farming. But this was accomplished by the building of canals to irrigate the cotton fields with the river water. This cotton was then used to make textiles such as fishing nets and carrying bags and clothing. But these textiles were in turn used to trade the seafood from the coast and produce from the interior. The civilization apparent had wide-ranging trade contacts. So, yeah, for aerial view of the main pyramid with the Supe River in the background. The large pyramid corral is a primitive mayor, which is 450 feet by 500 feet, 60 feet tall, and 30-foot wide staircase rises from the sunken circular plaza at the foot of the pyramid, passing over 3 terrace levels until it reaches to the top of the platform. The platform top contains the remains of the atrium and large fireplace. And as you can see right here, the aerial view of the main pyramid of the Supe River in the background. Here you go. That's what it looks like. They look like pyramids right here. You see the view right there, the aerial view. So the chorial flutes. Evidence suggests that the pyramids were built by stuffing reed bags filled with stone gathered from hillside quarries and riverbanks against the retaining wall. This process was repeated until the mound had reached the desired dimensions and height. Although the analyst is not available to retaining walls appear to be made of random sizes stones and bonded in together with mortar, probably lime and sand. It was remain of the reed bags of the provided material for the radiocarbon dating of the sites. But the oldest of these bags was dated to 2627 BCE. In that period, this could be the Japhite period in the Bible. The descendants of Japhet lived in this type of coast. They could be Japhites back in the day, but that's a whole nother topic. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother beast, because usually you don't see this type of stuff like all day like that. So I'm not surprised. So yeah. Yeah, so you can see right here. So everybody was talking, yeah. And that's what it was. But so yeah. I'm good for now. But yeah. As the coral debris covered the pyramid, the De La Centria quarry pyramid work has recently begun. There you go. And that's it. An aerial photo of newly cleaned Cairo amphitheater. By 1800 BCE, the Norte Chico civilization began to decline. The circumstances of the final time to decline is unknown. It will be another 1,000 years before the appearance of the next great Peruvian culture, the Chavan. Yeah, these could be the descendants of Japhet if that's old. If it's 26, 27, yeah, ain't no conquest or nothing. I'm not surprised. I mean, if it was biblically correct, we know that. Yeah, it's different tribes and different nations at the time. Yeah, that's old. When they say BCE, that's old. It's older than that. That's another millennia. You know what I'm saying? That's a different period. The enigma of Norte Chico civilization is because of what is missing. There appears to have been no war. Conflict and war are the normal impetus for congregating in cities so as to have a common defense. There was no pottery, only gourds of vessels made of the dried shells of melons and pumpkins, etc. Mastering pottery making is a normal stage in a culture development without pottery. It is it is impossible for people to boil food, and everything would have had to be roasted. Improving the taste and variety and preparation, preparation of food is one of the first things people normally attend to. There was no art save for a few grounds painted with a god figure and flutes. But the urges to produce art is another of things one would expect of a developing culture before they progress to the point of making monumental structures. So excuse me. So that is all. So that is all of the in between accomplishments normally associated with the pristine development. Civilizations are missing with the Norte Chico civilization. Logically doesn't make sense, but we also know that the human development always makes sense. Something is missing. They've also found abundant evidence of drug use that is normally associated with the shamanism. The last bit of the information put us on the right track. Pyramids, shamanism is only one people in the Americas combine those two. The Olmec. Okay, these are Olmec people. Yeah, the Olmec people to me, I think they're the descendants of Japhet. In the biblical days, I know the ancestor goes back to Japhet. I don't know what tribe, what group. Because if you want to get technical, those are your Japhites. I would say Olmecs. Some people say it is us. Some people say it's the Africans. But, the Hebrew Israelite teaching we teach, I don't think we're those people. I'm just saying. DNA-wise, it's probably different. That would be interesting. I wish they put that together in biblical history, because that's what this sounds like to me. I didn't solve the piece. I could have had this years ago before I even got flagged on my old channel. I was going to this direction anyway in content. I could have been had this. And when you do it on a live stream, you know what I'm talking about. So gorded painted with a god figure, colored enhanced gorded painted with a god figure, as you can see on the side right here. So stepping back and combining the information with data, or should I say data gleaned from the other American civilizations, then looking at the whole world picture, we realize that the Norte Chico is simply the last stop for the ancient East Africans. They'll say East African, everything's African, but that's what this guy says. But historically, that's a Roman name. Don't get me started. I mean, I disagree with some of the brothers on the panel. Kuda, they don't know what they're talking about. Like East Africa. I mean, the African term that's a whole nother debate on that. That's a white man's name. I'm just going to put it out there. It's not a black man's name. That's a whole, I don't want to hear it. Because once I start doing research on these, you're going to prove that's man-made. They had different names. Y'all don't read Sanskrit. I read a lot of Sanskrit stuff and coded languages and etymology of words. You'll be like, what's that? That's what it's called. It's not called that because you wasn't those people. You got to understand. This is what happens when history is kind of distorted, kind of lost. You have to dig shit from the ground and try to analyze it with a machine. It's very hard. A lot of people don't understand. The reason I do these streams is because these streams is to teach the younger generation to know that this research is out here. I don't do these on pre-records because I don't have like the computers I have to move and save a lot of pictures. I ain't got enough time to do that. That takes a lot of time because those take time. It's not fun. It's not easy to process to get what you get. But when I do these, man, it takes me back to my old content when I used to do. And I have no problem learning this stuff, but that's a whole nother beast. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping off of what the research is, but yeah, when they say East Africans, that sounds like any culture, anything's African, but that's a general sense in a black sense. But in the white sense, they'll say, oh, that's this and that, and you can argue. But if we had Sanskrit, or should I say scripture or Torah references to these people, This will be a whole nother argument discussion, but I ain't gonna get into that. Okay, who began their migrations some 50,000 years ago? So if it was 15,000 years ago, that's a long time. That's a good period. See, this is where we get in depth when the darker history side of things. But it's gonna be interesting when they do that. They have that, but they haven't done it. Like I said, they have it, but they don't show it. See, people don't understand real research. They're just getting around to it. They so behind. So you got to blame people in Europe and everybody else don't want to acknowledge stuff. It's a lot of racism behind the research. I'm just saying. They went through Nubia, Sudan. That's what they talk about. That they're just guessing. My guy wrote, but I get what he's saying. Nubia said, okay, and they built pyramids through Egypt, built pyramids through Sumer, Iraq. Yeah, see, anything Iraq, Sumer, I get what this guy's coming from, and built pyramid like the Zakarats and through Elam, Iran. See, anything up here, see, this goes to that other group in the scriptures. So it breaks that down. I see what he's going here, and I get it. Built like pyramids, ziggurats, and through China, but it built pyramids through North America, built pyramids like, yeah, these could be, in scripture, they'll be considered descendants of Japhites. You know what I'm saying? They probably wasn't those people. You know, we're all like one species of the dark races, but there's 3 groups. That's going to be interesting too. I wish they find the ones in the scripture, but in here, this proves it. That's why South America is an easy topic to talk about versus North America, because it all starts from there and they go up. So it's many ways, and they're gonna say Olmecs themselves. We're gonna read it down. So through Mesoamerica, like I read last week on last Wednesday, I talked about Mesoamerica. I talked about North America too, and it built pyramids through Mesoamerica, built pyramids until they had completely spanned the globe. Taught pyramid building in South America. At each place that the routine was the same, they settled and create a new civilization. Then over time, some moved on to explore new areas. To be clear on this site, this assertion is not that the Norte Chico were of Olmec stock. Let's read that again. To be clear on this note, the assertion is not that the Norte Chico were of Olmec stock. Now stop. The Olmec stock is what you see digged in Mesoamerica and what you say Mexico and some of North America. The Olmecs and the what they say the ancient Grimaldi men, you can say it like that, but I would say Olmec people. Those people, we don't know what they look like body wise. We only know about the head shape, but you got another variant of those people. But in scriptures, to me, I think they're Japhites. I don't know. In scripture, if you want to talk about the 3 races in the Bible, they man-made name, wherever, they're those people. And you have to describe it. See, the scriptures in general, I would say the Torah is a code language, a code book. They made a code book out of the nationalities and races and language. That's where it gets tricky right here. This is where they say it's an Olmec stock. This is very believable because they got the head shape on this side. In the face, we rarely see the body. So this is where it gets tricky. They never leave evidence of what they look like. And that's where it gets hard for most people. Then we start seeing the bones in the face. That's what they look like. You get an idea what they look like. So that's a whole nother thing. The DNA testing and all that with these other races, that's what's going to bring out the information. So just that there was a contact and influence. The Olmec themselves would have been far more advanced at this time, but the Norte Chico may well have been members of the very first East African migration, some 60 to 70,000 years ago. This group did not go north, but rather follow a southern coastal route across the Arabian Peninsula. I see. There you go. Conventionally, it is believed that these people reached Australia almost 60,000 years ago. They said Australia. Okay, that's another key. And reached to the Americas some 50,000 years ago. Interesting. And it has already been firmly established by the first human in the Americas were of the stock, the skeletal remains of a small child were also found of carrier DNA analyzed of these remains should shed light to the exact ethnicity of the Norte Chico, ethnicity of the North Chico. And another aspect of the North Chico is that the forces, those who've dated the Olmec at 1200 BCE to reevaluate that ill-advised conclusion. Other evidence of the Olmec contact in South America follow. Note, the fact the Egyptians have been ocean going in ships at this time, but the document exists of Egyptian shipwreck in Australia also at the time, and the crossing of the Pacific is quite different from reaching Australia, crossing the Atlantic, than going overland, while possible, seek unlikely, and does not jive with other aspects. Click to the story of the Egyptian shipwreck in Australia. Okay, this is another document. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah, it's private. Yeah. Back to the info. Yeah, my fault. Can't give y'all that. Yeah, y'all can research that for yourselves. It's National Geographic. Yeah, it's private. It's private. They don't want to sell the information. Okay, my fault. Okay, so basically last week we talked about the Americas, North Americas, and a little bit of South America. Well, this goes back to the Australoid people, right? Or should I say Polynesian Australoid people in general that use canoes to come to South America and then go up north. That's what these people are. So basically they come from that area using canoes and build pyramid structures and things like that in other cultures. That happens. I mean, that's how they came to America. They didn't come from the other side of the Atlantic. Atlantic was brand new. That came later. Other people come from different areas. That shows you right there the time zones is different. So, yeah. So you got to be understandable at that time. So let's go to Ecuador. They got the mask right here. In South America, it is in Ecuador that we found the first evidence of actual culture in terms of art forms, even though man have been in South America for 50,000 years or more. It is not until the period of 15,000 BCE through is about 3200 BCE that we see the first signs of development. It is about 3200 BCE that was first see the effects of the Olmec culture and technology have filtered the South. In that debatable pottery is now known to exist in South America. At Valdivia, Valdiva. I'll say at Valdiva. During this initial time, there was long, steady period of the development in the region. And this development coincide with the constant increase in population. Although the great cities, some of the other major cultural activities that would later develop far south were not found in Ecuador. There was not nevertheless considerable cultural accomplishment there. And from the early beginning grew the Valdiva culture. So Ecuador, the Esmeraldas gold mask right here, the gold mask of the Talito culture, the Olmec people right here. Yeah, this is going back to the Olmecs in Mesoamerica and things like that. Ecuador, Valdivian fertility goddess, 2500 and the 1500 BCE. Ecuador, Korea culture, 1300 and 300 BCE. Yeah, that's the culture right here. Ecuador, Toledo culture and all that. Yeah. Yeah, these are darker skinned people right here. Yeah, that's later on. Interesting. You can see the pictures right here. Yeah. I'm going to have to talk about the Olmecs probably next week, Mesoamerica. I'm going to talk about that. That might be an hour stream. I don't know how short that is. Let me check, y'all, because we'll see what they talk about. I'm talking about South America too, as well, because sometimes you just got to get the context right. Let me experiment something first. See if the next page, see how long, because I'm gonna read one off to y'all. Let's see what they talking about. Yeah, South America too. Yeah, we can go next. Good. Very good. Very good for me. All right, we're gonna go into South America, right? The Olmec culture, yeah. Talking about ancient America, talk about the Olmecs and things like that. We're gonna read that off in the face. And when people found those people, they compare it to Egyptians and things like that. And then we're gonna talk about Mesoamerica. So that's one of the things you can say in so many words. So we'll talk about that next week. I'll say next month, because we're gonna get in depth, and I promise people that's one of the things right here. So yeah, man, like I just look at it like this. When you get into these cultures, man, you don't get much. Like it's just like they scatter out. Because last week I talked about the Americas first and Canada and things like that. So we're gonna go in Mesoamerica next week. We're gonna stick with South America today. The Valdivia culture thrived on the coast of Ecuador between 3,500 and 1,800 BCE. This culture was discovered in 1956 by the Ecuadorian archaeologist Emilio Estrada. Based on the comparison of the archaeological remains of the pottery styles, Estrada and the American archaeologist Betty Meggers suggested that in a relationship between the people of Ecuador and Jaman people of Japan had existed in ancient times. The original inhabitants of Japan, the Anu and Jaman, were not Mongol, as are the current inhabitants. They were of the original East African ancients. That's what they call it. Now, the East African ancients, what you would say, whatever, I wouldn't call them that. I would call them the Eastern people, whatever, because you got a different, we can say African. In the African sense, yes. But as people or black people, three species of them, like your Semitic, your Hamitic, or Japhites. These could be Japhites too, because they used to live in Mesopotamia as well. But they had a land; it was on one landmass. But these people that went to the Australia or Australoid people, I call them Australoid people, right? In general, right? That migrated to the Americas. That's who ruled the Americas. I hate to say that, but they got conquested over time in the later years in the invasions and things like that. This is where they have no military structure, which is interesting because these people wanted their own peace or whatever, but that's what type of time they were on. But yeah, the Anu people, the Kenwick people, they're all related, or the Adaman people. I talked about that last week in a stream. It was 2 hours. As you can see, that's the thing to look at. So yeah, Estrada and Meggers theorized that the original Japanese had conducted trans-Pacific trade with the Americas, but this theory was revolutionary for at a time no evidence in contact between the two populations had previously been established. There was, however, no evidence of continuing the contact or an ongoing trade. Later developments make it clear that the contact was really with the Olmec branch of these ancient migrants, not the Jaman. Exactly. See, if they related to the Olmec people, so the Olmec and Australoid go together. That's the problem here. They probably came in canoes, and there's different types of Olmec groups. So if they come from the other way, I would say from the Australia region, or would you say Southeast Asian, things like that, the darker skinned people, that's who came to the Americas. That's the assumption right here, which is fact. In schools, they won't teach, they'll teach you the Bering Strait, but no, it came from the South first, and then the northern people came later. So the invasion of the Mongols. So the Australoid people was ruling this side. I wouldn't say black people, American wise. No, they're not Australoid people. I saw a live stream by Information Man. The guy broke it down. He's talking about this website too. He realized it started from there instead of us, because black people get it confused back in the day. They think we're these people. No, no, no. We don't have the bone structure and the blood type represent. See, this is why blood DNA tests are so important, or those machines, if they ever have one in the future, you can trace these bones in your DNA back to them. That's what they need, or some swab of saliva, things like that, and put it in the machine and compare your genetics and melanin. That's what they should do. They're not going to do that because that takes a lot of money or billions of dollars to get these research right. So yes, they said the Olmec branch and not Jamin. Like they said, the Valdivia lived in the communities with homes built in a circle round and central plaza. And they were a sedentary people who lived off of farming, fishing, though they were occasionally hunting game such as the deer. From remains that have been founded, it had been determined that the Valdivians cultivated corn, kidney beans, squash, cassava, hot peppers, and cotton plants. They used the cotton to make their clothes. Valdivian pottery over time but became large and integrated. They generally use red and gray colors. Red and gray colors, typical. That's their basic colors, I guess. And their cremax and stonework show a progression from simple to more complicated works. Okay, so we're going to get into Peru. And that's the pictures right here. Those people, Ecuadorian people, 300 CE. And there's little statues and the rituals that they did. Okay, we now go to Jaca Pitria in the Chicama Valley on the northern coast of Peru. Here we found the monumental ceremonial mounds built around 2500 BCE. We also find highly skilled cotton weaving at this site, as well as grounds and vessels made of the dry shells of the melons and pumpkins, etc. These were carved with the stylish geometric motifs. Another pre-Cremic site on the northern Peruvian coast is Los Hadas here in pyramids, and the platform temples were constructed at about 1800 BCE. El Parorito, is it Chucaquinta on the central Peruvian coast are the regions of large evacuated pre-Cremic sites. Here, various and residential complexes of the clay and stone were constructed by building rooms and terrace, and one at the top, and another much the same as the Pueblo towns of the southwestern United States. Another important pre-Cremic site is the Cotash in the northern highlands of Peru. At Cotash, terrace temples were made of fieldstone set in earth and decorated with clay reliefs of cross hands. Here again, they learned to make monumental structures before they learned to make pottery. It is clear the indication of outside influence. Two important cultures that would later develop in Peru during the pre-classic period were Shavian D, Hanatar, and Procrus. Yes, must be a French term right here, Latin French. I see. That's what they would call it. Interesting how they go around. Shavian. Okay. The Shavian pieces right here. So we're going to get into the Shavian people. Okay. The Shavian culture is known for its beautiful art and design, but Shavian also innovated with metallurgy and textile production. Clothes production was revolutionized during the time of the Shavian. The new techniques of the materials were developed, including the use of camel hair, textile painting, and the resist of the type of painting style, which is similar to modern day tie-dyeing. The metalworking also developed in the Shavian exile and making the hammered gold ornaments. There we go. Right up in here. So right here, the Pakras, south of the Shavian region, another high culture developed around the Pakras Peninsula. The civilization produced a famous thin wall pottery and some of the most extraordinary textiles in existence. Great woven mantles, ponchos, and small tapestries were created between 1000 to 250 BCE. Human remains found at the Chavan Show indicates of a cranial surgery and the odd but common practice in the Meso and South America of head shaping for beauty. Yeah, they did some wild stuff in the day. That's their little, the culture of cranial surgery and head shaping for beauty. Yeah, they did some wild stuff. They're tribal like that. I know it's awful to look at it, but that's their people. That's what they look like. Damn. Imagine what they look like in clay as a bust, like they did with Lucia. That's gonna be interesting in DNA. They need a computer monitor to see what they really look like, and you tell. They give you ideas what they look like back on those days. Just as elements from the Shavian civilization filtered south to influence the Pakris people, so the Pakris people influence a culture developed in the north and around the virtual Chicano, Chicama. Chicama and Mochi valleys, about 250 BCE to 750 CE. The most important of these cultures is commonly called the Mushe, which is named taken from the evacuate site of the Mushe River. This place appears to have been the capital or chief city of the Mushe people. Here's a Mushe clay bust of these people. That's what they look like. And there's the articles of that. And here's one right here. That's what they really look like, other people. Got two snakes, kind of like the Egyptian head. That's what the people look like. So the Mushe people, this is what the guy looked like. Yeah, you tell the darker skinned people. Yeah, it's a different brand of people. Wow. See, I wish I did pre-records on this. Yeah, and that's what they look like, and the weird head shaping and all that. Damn, they look like Australoids to me. They look like Australoid people or Polynesian people. This is a different species. It's so many, man. It's ridiculous. That should be a better presentation, you know. I would have that. If I had this on the Windows, I would give you all the pictures and do pre-records. I wouldn't give a fuck. I would have done that. Yeah. The Moche settlements extended the long hot and the coast in the northern Peru from the Lamagüey River Valley south more than 250 miles in La Payne River. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's see what's going on here. Yeah. So we're going to get into it. And that's just what it is. In the northern Peru River, okay, south from the 250 miles in Napini River, there were no towns built in the southern or north valleys. However, here dispersed communities were built in such a way so it's not a waste of valuable integrated cultural lands. And these areas and ceremonial centers seems to have served as the social and cultural vocal points. Yeah, that's what these people look like. So we know what time it is and things like that. So that's what these people look like. See, I didn't go in depth. They added some new stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just part of the people here. And I think part of it is like, you just look at it for what it is. I mean, that's just how they get down. So I think part of it is where I look at it is one is just, as you can see, that they were culturally bound, like we read above earlier in the stream. Yeah, I could have did a bunch of pre-records on this, but the reason I didn't do it because I know it was a hot topic back in the day, but they added some more stuff. Shout out to the boy with this website, man. He's been doing it for like 9 years. He's a black dude, black scholar that come with the knowledge right here. So yeah. So you already know. And we're gonna scroll down a little bit because we're going to do part 2 as well. We're going to read the rest of this. And that's what the people look like in the ceremonial. And so as we can see right here, it's a woman with some type of instrument, surgical, the cranial. They showed you the cranial stuff in the head of beauty, they say. according to these skulls, what you see, yeah, they was off the wall with their culture. But hey, but that's the ceremonial thing, what they believe in. But that's the culture. That's the people, darker skinned people, different species. These look like Australoid people to me. What they would say, Australoid. I don't like saying Mongoloid or Negroid or Caucasoid. It's actually four. They try to say it's three. That's scientific, but I don't know why people say Australoid. Yeah, Australoids would look like this, but it wouldn't matter because I think they should get rid of the Lloyds and say, biblical terms. But eventually, over time, I think people are going to do more research on each side. So this website is a good indicator. It's probably another one similar like this, but oh boy's got it down. He's got this one is standard to me. I'll find another one like this, but I won't keep this one because this gives you the gems of what the people look like. And there's the pottery right here and the culture. To give you an idea what they look like. It's funny what they look like body shape wise. See, in the Egyptian culture, I hate to say Egyptians had the body culture down, like the statues, the rituals, and things like that. When you get to the Americas, it's kind of hard. When people migrate, they look like this. That's the hard part. You know what I'm saying? And that's when we need the DNA, the computer analyzation of those people. Yeah. Moshe erotic art. Also express erotic art in pottery. I'm gonna put this in the live chat so y'all can look at it. So for me, so y'all can eat the meat of it, and we're gonna go back into the readings of it. So yeah, that's one of the things of paste. I'm gonna drop the link right there. So we on fire, and that's just what it is. So we're gonna go back here. And yeah, we're gonna go right back here for a minute. Let's see who's in the chat. What's going on, Bronzebird? What's going on, Wacky? Shalom, Wacky. Peace, Mike. And yeah, y'all go subscribe to Killing Kentucky. Yeah, it's Fighter. What's going on, Fighter? Yeah, let's come through. Underrated Darkness. What's going on, man? See, everybody's in here. Malik. Yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah, man. But this stuff is like, this is good right here. Yeah, I just showed the erotica art. I put that in the link. Y'all want to read that and things like that. They was on that type of time. But for me, let me go back to that. Hold on. I'm gonna save this to something. Add a bookmark to this shit. My other bookmarks. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I'll read that piece. If someone wants a conversation on that, I'll send them a link in the back chat. And if we want to discuss about South America, we're going to keep on. Okay, the Moshe people developed an art form that indicates some of the finest sculptures in history of pottery. But the range designs makes these objects remarkable, not only as art, but also as recorded of the civilization from which they came. The extensive number of objects produced such suggests that the civilization was extremely populous one, in which power and wealth were major goals. The accession of the Moshe occurred after the gradual demise of the Shavian culture. The demise of the Shavian culture ended as several centuries of political unification within the northern Peru as the small states northern Peru began to break away from what have been a unified government as the citizens learned to find their own way. Each state branched off and began to develop its own artistic style. These evolved in the city-states, which run through a centralized government. As the artistic style of Moshe evolved, spread throughout in northern Peru, it became the standard form of all the states. Moshe agriculture featured flat top pyramids and ramped platforms with courtyards and plazas near the Trillajo and the Moshe River valleys. There still exist the two giant structures known as the Temple of the Sun, Huaca del Sol, a step pyramid, and the Temple of Moon, Huaca del Luna, yeah, a terrace platform with the large rooms of the courtyards. Much of what is known about the Moshe has been deciphered from complex illustrations known as the fine line paintings that appear on thousands of ceramic vessels. What these drawings show appears to be highly stylized ceremonial combat, which warriors fought one on one, for the purpose of producing a few vanquished, few vanquished prisoners. These unfortunates were needed to fill a central role in the sacrifice ceremony that followed the battle, and drawing after the drawings show how the prisoners were first stripped of the clothing in battle, the equipment, and then the naked and leash around their neck with a rope brought back to the ceremonial center. There, the prisoners' and throats were cut, their blood consumed by the ceremonial participants, and finally their bodies dismembered. Although a warrior society, the Moshe did have a taste for luxury. Moshe tombs were filled with some of the most splendid pottery and metalwork of the central Andean area. Moshe ceramics are the best known of the ancient Peruvian artifacts and are among the finest ever known. The portrait head effigy pottery pots are especially notable for realistically deciphering the human features and portraying emotions. The reason for the demise of the Moshe are unknown. They may have succumbed to earthquakes, prolonged drought, or catastrophic flooding. There's some truth to that. A lot of people died from catastrophic stuff, and it's probably unknown. They ain't have no conquest of these type of people. So it's 9:17 Eastern AM. So yeah, that's what they look like. This is the modern Mongol type Indian with a bowl haircut. That's when they were interbreeded with the ancient dark cultures that look like that. This is the modern of them, of the Moshe. The Moshe necklace, bead depicting of the Mongol type Indian with a bowl haircut. Yeah, 200. Yeah, he looked like the darker one, and this is the modern. The Moshe, like the other black empires of the Americas, often exploited enslaved Mongol type Indians. Yeah, it was conquested too. It's a combination of a lot of things. It was conquested too. But in the end, it caused the Black Empire's downfall because it caused the Mongol type Indians to join forces with what they say albino Europeans, the white, they mean, to defeat the Inca and Aztec empires. Damn, what? Let me get this off the screen. Hold on. Assassin's Creed on here. What they doing? Okay. Inca and Aztec empires, but the Europeans then, of course, betrayed the Indians. Yep, enslaving them and destroying them. You already know about that. They asses. But the ones that don't have that, see, there was conquest by other invaders and things like that, and it was mixed down, and then it was killed off by certain tribes, probably were. But you got some of them are modern mixed with the European as well. Like I said, crossbreeding. That's what happened. Crossbreeding took them all out. We already know about that. Exploited, enslaved them, even murdered them, just as they did the blacks through not the extreme of genocide as with the blacks in Europe. In the Americas, see the study of the litigation over the rights of the natural lords in the early colonial courts in the Andes. Yeah. Conquest, slavery, and money. Yep. As you can see, I read right here, and that's why you got the people is crossbreed as well. That's why you got all the crossbreeding. But the darker skinned people did exist. So yeah, I showed you the pictures. But inland in the northern highlands of Peru, there also existed in the contemporaneous and similar culture to the Moshe, but this was known as the Ruque culture in the Chaldean Deheste Valley of Peru. The Nazca, they would say. Nazca for the south, Nazca of Peru's southern coastal region were roughly contemporary with the Moshe. Like the Parkas predecessor, the Nazca produced a little agriculture, but excelled at excel at making textiles and pottery with colorful designs. The most unusual aspects of these people are their Nazca lines, and these are drawings in the earth and geometric and shapes. The animals and birds and fish that can be fully recognized only from the air, but their purpose was central, certainly ceremonial, but the context is unknown. But the lines were made by scraping away dark upper surface stones on the surface of the ground to reveal the lighter substratum. Nazca were known from their practice of shrinking heads. Yeah, that's what they known for. Their practice, human heads and all that. Okay, the Purukara. Now we move to the northern basin of the lake Titicaca in southern Peru. The Purukara were the culture of developed here. This site is known for the unusual horseshoe-shaped temple of the stone masonry. The Purukara style stone sculptures and Purukara's pottery showed the resemblance to those of the Tiwanaku. They are next. It means they are next in the southern Titicaca basin. Because the early levels of the Tiwanaku show the Purukara type pottery, it is apparent to the Purukara culture was forerunner of the classic Tiwanaku styles, but the Purukara are generally dated from 300 BCE to 300 CE in the early intermediate period. The Tiwanaku. Now we move to the southeast, where another major civilization have been developing, the Tiwanaku or Tiwanaku in Bolivia. Tiwanaku is an ancient city in the city of central Andean highlands of Bolivia on the eastern shores of Lake Titicaca. Although the Tiwanaku was settled as early as about 200 BCE. It was between 200 CE and 600 CE. That is, the urban complex began the center of the another major classic period of the civilizations. But unfortunately, the inhabitants of the Tiwanaku had no written language. But Tiwanaku art in the agriculture was rather stiff, decorated motifs and religious imagery are rigid in appearance, and stone was their material of choice. It was used for their wall of cities as well as the huge doorways, which are intricately carved in paneling. Stone was also used to pave their roads. Both their buildings and sculptures are characterized by monumental effect and monolithic appearances. As an example, their gateway of the sun of the Tiwanaku is cut from the single stone and ornament with finely executed relief decoration, though only 12 feet in height. It appears more monumental because of the designs scattered through this area and are pillar-like monolithic statues that are reaches of more than 20 feet. They are decorated with low leaf detailing. Oddly, though, the things are completely different with their textiles, but they produce ponchos and caps and ponchos, ponches, and other textile pieces that show great variety with a fantastically tight weaves and wonderful richness of color. Though the Tiwanaku art was known all over the western coast of the South America, it is not known if Tiwanaku was a part of the temple politically or simply so independent culture and commercial entity. In the case of the Tiwanaku collapse around 1100 CE, and the city was abandoned and its characteristic art style vanished. So yeah, we're going to get to part 2 of South America, and we're going to get into it in a minute. So let's see what we're going to do on time. Let me go right here real quick. So we're going to get into it, and that's what it. So yeah. So what's going on, man? Salute. Yep. So it's an hour. We in it. That's it. So we out in the reading. So that's the thing. So, and that's the thing. So make sure color patterns, right? Yeah, my polar pattern is right. Okay. On a microphone. So yeah. South America, too. Okay, the Lima culture. About 1000 CE, the Lima culture began to take shape along the central Peruvian coast. The Lime are known for their planted adobe buildings. Sometimes later, the Lima were conquered by the Huray or Wari. Okay, my fault. By the Wari people, like the Moshe before them. The Wari were a warrior society that appreciated the fine artistry and design. Coastal Wari cultures produced the textiles of the highest quality. Their cremix, although less and refined than those of the Tanawanaku, stress solid construction, bold design, and rich use of colors. The the Wari was the center of the militaristic empire that dominated much of the Peruvian highlands, the coastal region during the early part of the Middle Horizon. The Wari shared a religion and iconographic with the Tanawaku, but were socio-economically separate. Between about 750 1000 CE, the Wari Empire unified all Peru. That's what these people were. So we're gonna get in depth on that. So yeah, we're not gonna stop right here. The Wari people and their presence. Look at this stuff. Look at this. The walls ramp leading the ceremonial palace of Shan Shan. Look at that. For reasons unknown, the Wari and its large urban centers like the Cajamarquilla collapsed at around 800 CE. This marks the end of the urban life in southern Peru until the Inca arrived. Curiously, though, at the same time, urban centers are starting to pop up in northern coast of Peru at the sites of the future cities such as the Shan Shan and the Pacatamo and others, like we see right here. There you go. That's the militaristic people right here. Interesting what type of weapons they use. The militaristic period. The Shaimoon. Yeah, the kingdom of the Shaimoon was the first mega state in Peru before the establishment of the Inca Empire. It reached the height of its power in the 15th century, not long before being conquered by the Incas. The Shimu state originated in the Moshe Valley, where its capital, Chan Chan, lay. But the center of this great city is divided into the nice walled citadels, each constructed out of the adobe brick finish with mud, and each containing temples and cemeteries, gardens, reservoirs, and symmetrically arranged rooms. These citadels is believed were living quarters, burial places, and warehouses of the aristocracy. Warehouses of the aristocracy and the bulk of the city of the population, however, lived outside of the citadels in much more modest quarters. There were other Shimu cities in Farian and Pacatacamus and the Pacasamayo Valley and the Purgatorio and Orpurgio, Licia and Motu valleys. Shan Shan, now largely destroyed, once produced the speculator array of artistic works such as gold jewelry, feather mantes, great textiles, and considerable works in the wood and clay. But the arid climate has preserved more art form from the Shimu region than from most others. Yeah. So yeah, like we see right here, and you see the cars of Shim Shim. So, like all the other great civilizations, human were militaristic, expansionistic. However, in their quest for more territory, like always, conquest, they unfortunately ventured south and ran into the Inca, and the Shimu conflict with the Inca began in 1462, around this time CE. By 1475, 1476 CE, this is during the I will say during the Dark Ages and the Renaissance period. Interesting. It was over, and the Inca had conquered the Shimu state. The entire Shimu state was absorbed into the Tanawa Sisu community and resettled in the city of Cusco to serve their new Incan rulers. Yep, that's what happened. That's what happened. So there you go. The Xinxia, contemporary with the Shimu, were the Xinxia, and on the southern coast of Peru, they were similarly well organized state, but they were unique in one respect, and appears that very oh my god, I skipped through it. Hold on, I accidentally hit that. They were accidentally hit that. Okay, Peru, they were very well organized. They were unique on every aspect. They were uniquely people. Okay, and totally towards the fishing economy excesses. Okay, and from fishing, from marine gathering, and they were used to barter of goods. Okay, so damn, I missed that. Coastal Peru. Yeah, I was saying something wrong. So okay, so we're gonna skim down here. The Chincocharo culture. They have the wiki South. Okay, the South America was a pre-Creamic culture, lasted 7,000 to 1,000 BCE, but the people forming the Chincocharo culture were sedentary fishermen inhabiting the Pacific coastal region of the culture, northern Chile and southern Peru. Presence of fresh water in the arid region on the coastal facilitated human settlement in this area. Yeah. So, as you can see, you got this picture right here, landscape of the Arica in Chile. That's on the wiki. The Chincharo were expert fishermen. They developed in the sophisticated fishing tools of the ambulage, and the people had efficient fishing gear such as fishing hooks made of shells and cactus and stone weights for the nets, and made of the mesh fabrics. They became skilled weavers of baskets and mats, while most Chincharo sites are located on the coast and some are in inland and nearby highlands. But their lifestyle was predominantly supported by fish, shellfish, and sea mammals. They are large. There are some large coastal middens that have been evacuated. Analyzed of their hair and human bones from the mummies indicated that around 90% of their diet exists of maritime food sources, with the remaining of 10% of their food from the terrestrial animals and plants. The Chincharo type site is located the Arica, Chile. It was discovered by a German archaeologist, Max Uhle, in 1915. So, yeah, they've been on it. So, as you can see right here, that's what these people, where they have their culture. So, what you see, which is what you get. That's one of the reasons right here. So, I could say that's what they did their thing. So, as I can tell on here. So, yeah, hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna go right here. My fault. Yeah, I'm gonna go right there. So, yeah, that's where they all started, and that's just what it is. So, I'm gonna do it right. And I don't know what happened right here. I accidentally hit something. Yeah, I accidentally hit something. Yeah, retweeted on that. Okay. Enough of that. Okay. I'm gonna scroll down. My YouTube is acting up on the phone, so Let me deal with this right quick. Yeah. Yeah. Give it a like. Eugenics. We're living with Kevin Sales. Yeah. Let me go right here. Yeah. He said he's here. No, he's black. Yeah. Yeah. So right quick. Damn loud. All right. The Chinchero mummies. The Chinchero mummies are mummified remains. Individuals from South America's Chinchero culture found is what is now northern Chile. They are the oldest examples of the artificial mummified human remains become popular by up to the 2,000 years before the Egyptian mummies, while the earliest mummy that they have been found in Egypt dated around 3000 BCE. The oldest partically modified Chinchero mummy dates from around 5000 to 50 BCE. The oldest natural mummified mummy recovered from the Atacama Desert is dated around 7020 BCE. That's what it looks like. They say it was mummified. It was doing that in cultures. Yep. That's an adult male, large patches, cross, and left, right. Scientists say, yeah. I'll let y'all see the picture. Hold on. My fault. That's like a mummy right here. And showing the remains. And the chronology of 29% of Chinchero mummies found thus far were a result of natural mummification process. The earliest such mummy dates, like we read above, 7020 BCE, also known as the Achaemenid, and the artificial mummies of the Chinchero are believed to have first appeared around 5000 BCE, reaches a peak around 3000 BCE. Often, Chinchero mummies were elaborate, prepared by removing the internal organs. They said by removing internal organs. Okay. Oh, they did that back in the day. Yeah, that was part of their little rituals, replacing them with vegetable fibers or animal hair. In some cases, an Embler would have removed the skin and flesh from their dead body and replaced them with clay. Radiocarbon dating reveals that the oldest discovered anthropologically modified Chinchero mummies was that of a child from a site that is in the Canerones Valley, about 60 miles, 97 kilometers south of Arica in Chile, and dates from around 5050 BCE. The mummies continued to be made until the 1800 BCE, making them contemporary with Las Vegas culture and the Valdivia culture in Ecuador and the Norte Chico civilization in Peru. So yeah, you got this here. So you also have Chinchero mummy. That's what they look like. So yeah, and they're showing you right here. The mummies may have served as many means of assisting the soul in surviving, preventing the bodies from frightening the living. A moral, common accepted theory is that they was an ancestor of a cult of sorts, since there is evidence of both the bodies traveling with the groups, placing in positions of honor during the major rituals, and delay in the final burial itself. Also, the bodies, which were always found in the extended position, were elaborate, decorated, and colored, later, even later repainted, and are thought to be reinforced and stiffened in order to be carried on the reed litters of consequently displayed. However, since the society is a pre-Cremic one as well as slightly nomadic, it is somewhat difficult to determine through archaeological records the reason why the Chinchero felt the need to mummify the dead. DNA equals represent of the Chinchero culture was determined by mitochondria haplogroup A2. Yep, they had their reasons. That's what their reasons. Preparation of mummies. While the overall manner in which is the Chinchero mummified their dead changed over the years, several traits remain constant through their history in evacuated mummies. Archaeologists found skin and all sorts of soft tissues and organs indicate brain renovated from the corpse. After the soft tissues have been removed, sticks reinforced bones while the skin was stuffed with uh, vegetable matter before resembling the corpse. But the mummy received a clay mask even if the mummy was already completely covered in dry clay, a process which the body was wrapped in the reeds of the left or dry out for 30 to 40 days. Archaeologists have agreed upon the following types: the mummifications of natural black and red, mud-coated, and bandaged mummies, the two most common techniques used in the Chinchero mummification were the black mummies and the red mummies. Natural mummification of 282 Chinchero mummies found thus far, 29% of them were results of the natural mummification process. I'll say 7,020. I'll say 7,020 and 1300 BCE. In northern Chile, environmental conditions greatly forever natural mummifications, but the soil is very rich in nitrates, which, when combined with other factors such as the Araceli and Araucana Desert, ensure organic preservations. Preservation and salts and halt bacterial growth and the hot, dry conditions facilities rapid indigestion, evaporating all body fluids of the course. Soft tissues as a result. Dry before they decay and naturally preserved mummy is left. What must also be noted is that even through the Chinchero, people did not mummify the bodies artificially. The bodies were still buried wrapped in the reeds with grave goods. But the black mummified technique, okay, we're talking about that. The black mummy technique, 5,000 to 3,000 BCE, involving taking the dead person's body apart, treating it and resembling it. The head, arms, and legs were removed from the trunk, and the skin was often removed too. But the body was heated dry, and the flesh and the tissue was completely stripped from the bone by using stone tools. Evidence of existence that the bones were dried by hot ashes and coal. After resembling, the body was then covered with a white ash paste filling the gape with the grass and ash, soil, and animal hair, and more. But the paste was also used to fill out the person's normal facial features. But the person's in skin, including the facial skin with a wig attachment of the short black human hair, was refitted on the body, sometimes in small pieces, sometimes one almost whole piece. Sea lion skin was sometimes used as well, but then the skin, or in the case of the children, were often missing their skin layered. The white ash was painted with the black manganese, given their color. The red mummy technique. The red mummy technique, a 4,500-year-old Chinchero mummy. The body has been painted red or tray and wears a long human hair wig. courtesy of B. Arausia. So, yeah. The red mummy technique, 2500 BCE to 2000 BCE, was a technique in which, rather than dissembled dissembled the body, many incisions were made in the trunk and the shoulders to remove the internal organs and dry the body captivity. The head was cut from the body so that the brain could be removed, and after which the skin would be pasted back on, which would often just cover with a clay mask. But the body was packed with various materials in the return in somewhat more normal dimensions, sticks used to strengthen it. And the incisions sewn up using the the reed cord, but the head was placed back on the body. But this time was a wig made from tassels of human hair up to 60 centimeters long. A hat made out of the black clay held the wig in place, but except for the wig and often the black face, everything was tin. Everything was then painted with red ochre. Okay, my fault. I slipped up a little bit on the reading. The final of the Chinchero mummification was Mutco's 1300 BCE. Ecologically speaking, at the time of the Chinchero culture, the region was relatively stable. It had been suggested by environmentalists that the incredible preservations of these mummies are also influenced by the pedogenic, the pedogenic and this evolution of soil creation of clays of gypsum, which act as cemented agents, and the latter as the natural dehiscence and malleable clay, allowing for the mortifications to mold and create colorful appearances of mummies, with the added bonus of the fact that the foul smell and the smell of the dissecting the mummy would be covered. But the artisans no longer removed the organs of the dead. Instead of a thick coat of mud and sand and binder like egg or fish glued was used to cover their bodies. Once completed, the mummies were cemented into their graves. The change in style may have come from the exposure of the outsiders and their different culture, or from the association of the disease with the rotting corpses. That's what they did. Interesting. And the bandage technique to be 2620 to 2000 BCE, but there is a lack of radiocarbon dating, has only been found being present in their 3 infants, but the technique is a mixture of a black and red mummies. And that body was taken apart and reinforced in the style of black mummies, but the head was treated in the same way as the red mummies are. But animals and human skin was used to wrap the body in places of clay. Further, the bodies were found to be painted with a red ochre, while the heads were painted with black manganese. Tattooing. At least the one Chinchero mummy bears remarkings of witness to the antiquity of tattooing in the region. Indeed, the remain of the male with a mustache-like dotted line and tattoo above his upper lip and dating it to 1880 BCE is believed to represent the oldest direct evidence of tattooing in the Americas and the 4th oldest such evidence in the world. Update: April 18, 2010, or 2010, which y'all would call it, or 2010. A Rizik found in Chilean mummies. Poison lead drinking water killed some of the world's oldest mummies, which are found in the harsh northern deserts of Chile. Arsenic, which occurs in the high levels of drinking water in Chile's northern Cameroon's Valley, and its deadly element that likely poisoned the coastal Chinchero people for centuries, starting at least 7,000 years ago, and their mummy hair analyzed show. Quote, I believe these ancient people were continuously exposed to arsenic by drinking contaminated water with the high arsenic levels. That contaminated water is endemic to the Carones region. Instead, the study led to Baranano and Aricia of Chile and Universidad de Tarapica de Arica, the Chinchero, who wouldn't have been aware they were ingesting the tasteless and invisible toxin, may have suffered from skin and lung, bladder, and kidney cancers, among other serious effects of long-term arsenic exposure. Archaeologically, news of Mesoamerica. And let's see, the caution. Please note the great caution must be used trying to determine the race or ethnic nature of the ancient Chincha people. We know quite well the lying nature of some. Yeah. We get it. The white man, the DNA. Yeah, we ain't gonna get into that. That's a caution. So I'm aware with the caution. But here we go. That's the people talking about Colombia. Okay, we're talking about Colombia now. We're gonna get into it. So I'm gonna stop right here for a minute because it's been over. Yeah, it's been an hour. Oh, God. Ooh-wee. What's going on, Kylie Jane? What's going on? What's going on? Yes, it was lead poison. It was that old. It's that old. Um, yeah, it's that old. It's that old. Yes. I want to talk about technical lead poison, but that was old. Oh God. Yeah. Let me get the battery. Let me get the battery of this thing. It's that old. So I'm an hour on time. I'm gonna read the rest of this, and I'm gonna say, like, yeah, this is a stream that I wanted to do because on Wednesday on the fly, and this is gonna be processed right now. So yeah, I know people's into it right now. Yeah, let me see right here. My phone is working right now. Yeah, that was lead poisoning. Yeah, I just read from above, so let's see what's going on here. Oh, damn, it's less people. Okay, that's cool. I ain't even worried about it because these already got my viewage on here. Let's see what time it is. Hold on for a sec, right before we get to Colombia, because I know people is watching, but yeah, I got an hour and 42 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, that's good timing. It's great timing. Yeah, because everybody's on fire right now. Yeah. Everybody's talking about their different things. And yeah. So we know what time it is. And so we're gonna go in here for a minute because sometimes you gotta look at it for what it is. But yeah, the lead poisoning ain't no joke. Ain't no joke, because what we're gonna have here is data. So we're gonna stick with it. So, oh, okay, good. Okay. See, I got some haters. Okay, cool. I figure that. I know people don't like my behind. So yeah. We already know. Right now. We already know. Okay, that's a good sign. So we're gonna get into it. Okay, Colombia. Before going on, we should note that at the same time as these Andean cultures, even before them, there was a culture is in the gateway to South America, Colombia. Colombia lies at the crossing point between South and Central America. However, the cultures of Colombia have been little investigated because almost none of them left behind spectacular moments. Yes, spectacular moments, but their art reveals a high degree of craftsmanship. and their gold work is best in the whole continent. Both for the techniques of artistic designs and their notable sites were San Augustine and Terra Dintro, and concluded that parodies and the cultures are known as the Tara and Sinu and Mescali and Kingboy, Talama, and Klama and San Augustine. So yeah, we're talking about Colombia and the Sikian people. So we got it here. It's a lot of read. Continuing on Peru, Sikian 800 to 1375 CE was a society of farmers, cremate artisans, fishermen, and metal workers. They built brick, adobe, and platform mounds and ceremonial funerary purposes like their Moshe precursors. But the people of the Sikian built monument temples and places where rituals and funerals abandoned in splendid paraphernalia. But the people of the Sikian built highly refined irrigation projects, which opened the deserts of the richly productive agriculture. But their region, a broad river, but the valley extended on some 25 miles between the Pacific Ocean and Andean foothills. It is called the Batian Grande. So yeah, you see it right here. The lords of the Sikian civilizations were buried into the deep tombs, lying at the bottom of the vertical shafts. In 1995, Ismin Shimaid evacuated one of the richest tombs ever found in the Western Hemisphere. It has contained more than a ton of precious metal shaped as a jewelry and other ritual artifacts. But these objects shows the highly perfect technique achieved by Sikian gold and silversmiths. Okay, the Inca, the nobles. Yeah, here we go. The Inca nobles. The Inca, who called themselves the Tawantinsuyo, ruled an empire extended from Ecuador to central Chile. Their capital was called Cusco or Cusco. Cusco or Cusco. Cusco means Cusco. But the Inca were a Peruvian highland warrior people. But the king of the Inca Empire were called the Sapa Inca Emperor, or simply Inca. But the race of the Inca, as well as the Holy Roman Emperors, which I've done a stream on, who later came to rule during the reign of Charles V, had long been a sentient of two paintings with the province of Peru. Answers both questions definitively. Inca nobles. Okay, we're going to get into the Inca nobles right here, as we can see. The portrait of the Inca nobleman and his sons, painted by the native Andean painter Andres Sanchez Calacui in 1599, but the Inca are depicted wearing Spanish clothing, but with Inca gold ornaments are captioned with Spanish names, prefixed by Don, meaning Lord of Gentlemen. It is the oldest known sign, the dated painting from South America, and is said to have been commissioned by the colonial official as gift to the King of Spain, Mosaic Masacano del Parador, Madrid. Yeah. And yes, Spanish, but it's all Latin language. Yeah. That's what they look like. You know, the Incan people, the Incan nobles, they would say. Interesting. In the La Croix Museum in Lima, Peru, Inca nobleman and his son's painting quite, yeah. It goes in that. It is the modern Peruvian people. That's the modern Peruvian people, what you got today. But that's the Incan people, Incan nobles. They show you portraits like that. Yeah, Inca king list, the Moors, all this stuff. Okay, click here for the blow up. Let's see. Ooh, here you go. So I'm gonna give y'all this in the live chat. Hold on. So I can look at it for yourselves if you got a cell phone and things like that. So as you can see, okay. And you know what? Have a nice day. Yeah. Yeah, get out of here. I know who you are now. Yeah. Yeah. Get out of here. Okay. I had to knock somebody out. So get out of here. Not gonna argue with nobody this year, but yeah, that's the blow up in middle paint. Yeah. That's my channels. I know. I know someone's gonna give me a dislike. It had to be somebody trolling. Want to talk the ish. I'll give you another one. Y'all can see both of these, give you evidence. And garbage I spilled. You won't be saying that. I don't care about these people like that. I know it's YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. I ain't talking about dude. Yeah, the Inca Kings and all that. Yeah. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's cool. It's okay to have haters, but that's part of the game. So, I get it. I don't fakes and frauds. Yeah. Yeah, Hebrew and Jesus. Okay. Yeah, this getting to the Moorish side. Okay. The cause, Napoleon. Yeah. To get into this part right here in the America, but there's another possibility. America's your conquest. To my Peru, 1607 book, American, the latest, most accurate description of the New World by John Ogilvy. This drawing is of the Black Rules of Peru. Other parts of the Inca Empire, first European encounter, do they look Mongol or white or mulatto? The book has many drawings showing the original American hemisphere rulers were all black. The albino fantasy creating fake history, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's going into that. So we already know. Yeah, I can give y'all both links to the first two. So lovely Peruvian black Chinchica, Peru, picking cotton. From above, evidence was safely concluded these people are true descendants of Inca. Yeah, they give me the match. And these people are clearly not the descendants of Inca. Yeah, these are modern Peruvian people. Yeah, I got a little haters in the chat. You know how it is. And I had to cut somebody down to size like a biscuit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, because I ain't dealing with that this year. I know. Yeah, that was just one hater. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I know, right? Because they always want to talk all this shit. So I'm not surprised what's happening. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I'm good over here. But yeah, my subscribers on teapots, but you know what I'm saying? But move right along. Paul's here to look something unique and disturbing. Yeah. Victims and things like that. Yeah, it's disturbing. And, And that's when it gets to the modern Euros. Yeah, that's what the people look like. Yeah, those people are here, modern. That's what they look like. The purpose of island settlements, large areas. Yeah. The Inca gold. Let's go for the Inca gold right here. That's the Inca gold right here, showing the baby on the back. Yeah. Match the nose and all that. Yeah. They was getting into the DNA stuff as far as black people, the Egyptian. Yeah, so they, get into the cultures like these. We just skimming pictures right now. Inca technology and architecture were highly developed in the integration systems, places, temples, or the fortifications called seen throughout the Andes. Their economy was based on agriculture, but its staples being maize, corn and maize, white and sweet potatoes and squash, tomatoes and peanuts, ground nuts, chill peppers and coca, cassava and cotton. They raised guinea pigs, ducks, llamas, alpacas, and dogs. Clothing was made in llama wool and cotton. Houses were made of stone and adobe mud. In the Inca farms were high in mountains and sometimes over 12,000 feet high. In order to make the best use for all available land in Inca, practice in terrace farming in high mountains. Yeah, mountain terrace and farming in Peru. Yeah, so you get in this cultures like this. So now Machu Picchu in 15th century Inca estate located the Cusco region in Urbina in province. Yeah, 1572. Showing you right here. And there's the towns right here. Elevation 7,972, 2,043 4030 meters. UVA radiation equals scale maximum 11 plus. Wow. Because of the varied altitudes that Inca inhabited, they became experts of using temperature and humidity as the food preservative. They invented the jerk meat. Okay, the jerk meat. The Inca built a vast network of roads through their empire. Inca Tunnel. They were the two main roads on the north and south running through along the coast, about 2,250 miles, and other inland along the Andes for a comparable distance, with mainly interconnecting the roads and links. Many short rock tunnels and vine supported suspension bridges were also constructed. The Incan Empire was a patchwork of language, culture, and peoples. Naturally, those that have been conquered were not loyal. Well, how it all came about? Pedro Alvares Cabral. Cabral was a Portuguese noble, military commander, navigated the explorer regarding a discovery of Brazil. On the 15th February 1500, Cabral was appointed the Capitão Mor, or literally major captain. That means later captain. That's in Portuguese, or common in chef of a fleet sailing for India. It was the custom for the Portuguese crown to appoint nobles to the naval and military commands, regardless of inexperience or professional competence. This was the case for the captains of the ship under Cabral's command. Most were nobles like himself. And Cabral conducted in the first substantial exploration of the northeast coast of the South America and claimed it for Portugal. While details in Cabral's early life are sketchy, it is also known he came from the minor noble family and received a gold education. He was appointed to the head expedition to India in 1500, following the Vasco and the Games nearly open route around Africa. But the object of the undertaking was to return with the valuable spices and the established trade relations in India, bypassing the monopoly on the spices, trade them in the hands of Arab, Turkish, and Italian merchants. Yep. So you got this guy right here. Pedro Alvarez Cabral, 1468-1520, slightly whitenized picture of the American Bank Note Company. So that's what they would say. His fleet was 13 ships, sailed far into the Western Atlantic Ocean, perhaps intentionally where he had a landfall, what he initially assumed but be a large as far in the land was within the Portuguese sphere. According to the Treaty of the Tordesillas, the capital claimed it for the Portuguese crown. He explored the coast, realizing that the large landmass was probably continent, and dispatched a ship notified King Manuel I of the new territory. But the continent was South America, and the land he had claimed, Portugal later, and came to be known as Brazil. The fleet reprovisioned and then turned eastward to resume the journey to India. So we get to Francisco Pizarro. We're going to get into him later, so we'll see what we're going to do on time. So, yeah, it's 2 hours. It's 2 hours. 2 hours in, yeah. Didn't find any woman who was mummy wrapped as a part of Incas was cornrows for 2,000 years ago recently. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I ain't even worry about them because, stuff like this, I already know. When I do topics like these, man, they get emotional, boy. But I'm used to it. It's just like my pre-records. I've seen this a lot. That's why I didn't want to do this one, but I said, you know what? I'm going to do a piece on this. I'm just going to screen it down because this is going to be a feed. Francisco Pizarro was born in Trujillo, Extremadura, Spain, probably in 1471. He was the illegitimate son of Gonzalo Pizarro and Francesca Gonzalez. She paid a little attention to his education, but he grew up without learning how to read or write. His father was a captain of an infantry and had fought into the Neapolitan War. Yeah, the Neapolitan War. Mm-hmm. In 1522, after having head accounts of the achievements of the Herman Cortez in Mexico, within the return of Pascual de Anagoya from his expeditions from the southern part of Panama, which he had brought in news of the countries situated along the west coast of the South American. Cortez became filled with the enthusiasm for explorations and the conquest. He formed together with Diego de Almagora and a soldier of fortune who was at the time in Panama, Hernando del Luque, a Spanish clerk, a company to conquer the lands situated to the south of Panama. But their project seemed so utterly unattainable that the people of Panama called them the Company of Lunatics. However, after the many failed attempts, the Pizarro finally made it to the Incas territory by the scoundrels. By the scoundrels' luck. By the scoundrels' luck, he showed up just as the Incan princes were brothers of Atahualpa and Huáscar are engaged in a civil war over succession to the throne. Additionally, there is a smallpox epidemic raging. Smallpox having been introduced by Alexio Garcia, a Portuguese adventurer who had 8 years early entered the South America through the Rio de la Plata, Istria, which divides Argentina, Uruguay, and Garcia was intrigued by reports of the White King, see below, who was said to live far to the west and govern cities in incomparable wealth and splendor. But his intention was plunder Inca territory from the east. its ascension, his group gathered a small army of 2,000 Guarani warriors to assist the invasion. The Garcia became the first European to cross the Chaco and penetrated the outer defense of the Incan Empire in the foothills of the Andes Mountains in the present-day Bolivia. Garcia encouraged. The Garcia entourage engaged in plundering and amassed in considerable hordes of silver. Only fierce attacks by the reigning Inca, Hania Capca, who had since died, convinced Garcia to withdraw. The Indian allies later murdered Garcia and other Europeans, but the news of the raid on the Incas' reach of the Spanish explorers on the coast attracted Sebastian Cabot into the Rio Paraguay 2 years later. Yeah, the Portuguese wasn't that strong. They had a weak army. The Spanish took that down. So yeah, you see below. America, New World empires, Mexico and Peru, plantations. So we're going to get into that right here. So this is a long read. It's 2 hours in. So how y'all feeling? So yeah. Who is this? Oh, I'm talking about the hold on. I'm talking about the conquest of Paraguay. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah, I'm talking about South American history. I don't know where you come from, but okay, continue on. Yeah, because I ain't studying y'all. Yeah, I got to pause for a minute. But yeah, it's 2 hours in, so let me see what's going on here. Yeah. Let me tap on. I'm gonna be on mute for a minute. I'll be right back. All right, let's go back into it. Let's go to Paraguay. Yeah, some of my dark histories and things like that. Drawing the original inhabitants of Paraguay from the book, American being the latest, the most accurate description of the New World, containing the original inhabitants and the remarkable voyage, thither and conquest of vast empires of Mexico and Peru and other large provinces and territories, with the Atlas by John Ogilvy, 1671. Yeah. See, we already know about the conquest of this type of world and plantations. And they talk about that Pizarro's arrival. Yeah. Oh, that's a long read. But I'm gonna skim through that and talk about the Spaniards. Hold on. I can read this. Hold on. Let me look at this. Killed his entire family on the highway leading from the capital. The Incas top corporations. Yeah. I got it right here. Yeah. After I'm done. Yeah, these are the long read. So it's talking about the Spaniards, 1570s, Inca rulers. Yeah, hold on. Let me send y'all the first link of the first part of the stream. If you missed, I talked about the introductions of South America. I'm gonna put it in the live chat feed because yeah. But it's some new people in the chat. Go ahead, Wacky. You can pull the trigger. They act crazy up in here, so I'm just gonna drop the link in here. So yeah, I know what time it is. Yeah. Fighters and these cronies over here. Yeah, you're on site. The tribes and things like that. So tribes, then Mesoamerica. Yeah. Yeah, the bizarre. Ooh, this is a long read. I'll read this part right here. Francisco, activist independence of Brazil. After the independence was proclaimed, he took the name of G. Francisco Activist name, thus incorporating all elements formed the Brazilian nation, tribute to Aztec Emperor Montezuma. Okay. 1794, 1870. Here goes this guy right here. That's the first. Let's see what's going on in here. South America, we talked about this earlier. I'm gonna put this in the live chat as well because I talked about early half of the stream. So, in case y'all want to know what I was talking about, and yeah, let's see what that guy said. Yeah. So we're gonna go look at this right quick. So I'll give you the link after I'm done with that. So we're gonna skim through. You got a lot of fools out here. Yeah. Enrique Diaz died in 1662, was a general of the Portuguese colony of Brazil. He served with the distinct against the Dutch forces from control of Brazil and played an important roles in the first and second battles of I'll say Guarapes for his courage and leadership in battle. But the Portuguese king made him a knight of Order of Christ. Yeah, he's a darker soul. Yeah. 19th century painting of the anonymous Brazilian. Yeah. So the conquest of the Americas, did it really come about local racial war? And he's just debunking white lies. We're going to skim through. If y'all want to, I'm gonna put this in the live chat if y'all want to read it as well, because I'm not going to argue with people on this. Some of this stuff y'all probably know, but the website, yeah, I know they hating. Yeah, it could be, because I don't know what time these people on. So, yeah, man, we're gonna skim through a lot. Yeah. Debunking white lies. Okay, 2000 study published by the National Academy of Science. Yeah. We're going to debunk this. Walter. Yeah, it's the wiki. I'm trying to get away from the DNA stuff they got on here. Europe. Yeah, I talked about this stuff. We're going to stick to the history. Yeah, he wants to get in depth with it. Let's see. Emory University. Oh, I'm familiar with, and that's in Atlanta, Emory University. Let me read this. Emory University, Transatlantic Slave Trade Database introduced introductory maps. Major map regions were captured this embark all the years. The Caribbean and South America received 90% of the slaves arriving in America. Some captives disembark in Africa rather than the Americas because of their transatlantic voyage was diverted as a result of a slave rebellion, or during the era of suppression because of the capture by patrolling naval cruisers. Less than 400,000 disembarked North America, only just over 8,860 in Europe. So, His trolls are in here. At the height of Incan Empire, At the height of the Incan Empire, include Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Chile on the Pacific coast of South America. Note that at no time were African slaves landed in the Incan Empire or the Pacific coast of South America, which is facts. Or showing right here. Additionally, at the time there was no Panama Canal, making it impossible to sail from Caribbean or Caribbean Panama to Peru, except by the way of frigid Antarctica. Yep, proving the white lies and the bunk and all that stuff. Yeah, Henry Louis Gates, he was on here talking about the Negroes and all that. He did that piece. It's a lot of DNA stuff. This painting proves the true picture of the medieval Europe actually looked like. Note that blacks were ruled in royalty. Yeah, I've seen this picture before. Show you the Moors and all that. The view of the square, King Fountain in Lisbon, Dutch painting, 1570 to 80. You see it right here. Yeah, at the time. Suriname, formerly Dutch, Guinean Dutch captured the British colony of Suriname, formerly Dutch Guinea, during the Second Anglo-Dutch War, 1667. And the week depicted the morality. Yeah. Oh, dang, they killed him. Dutch slave trade, yet slave rebellions. The Maroonage emerged in the main resistance. Yeah. Yeah, hanging a slave by a hook in the ribs in 1773 source. Yeah. Opponents of slavery cannot avoid the picturing of the harsh cruelty, daily existence of the slaves, explaining why they run away to revolt against their masters and are filled with hatred towards the whites. When describing the dance of festivals, he said that needs to find an outlet for misery and accounts of the frenzy of which they throw themselves into. Yeah, there was a lot going on. The original painting is below. The modern Suriname Maroons. These are Maroons too. Armed Maroons serving 1700s, formerly Dutch Guinea, formerly narrative 5 years expedition against the revolt Negroes of the Suriname, but the Atlantic slave trade and the slave life in the Americas visual. Yeah. He was hung and lynched when you saw that. He was hung by the ribs. Y'all saw that picture. I'll let y'all get the meat of this too. This is a good stuff right here in the pictures and the slavery. I ain't gonna read the rest like I always do in these. Yeah, these are actual pictures and things like that. Yeah, it's a lot of DNA data, American, and you got Brazil. Okay, let's talk about Brazil for a minute. John VI, King of the United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil, and the Algarves from 1816 to 1822. The Algarves or Algarves or something like that. Another laughable white nice historical figure. They use him. Yeah. Yeah. Talking about Brazil and all that. Yeah. I just read a piece on him, but yeah. So when it gets to the racial stuff, I skimmed through it. I already know. Native South Americans, 1641 to 1831. The Black Paleo Americans of Negroid and Mongol phenotype Indians. You talk about that. All this stuff, We talked about all of that this week, South America. They got the pictures and things like that. So that's it on South America. This is some pieces. I'm gonna put some links in the live chat so y'all can read it and gives you time to add it to your favorites. Because I know people is tripping right now. So I know people's mad right now. They should be. What you know what time it is. Yeah. And that's just part of it. I mean, that's just part of the game. So yeah, that's all I want to talk about in the history of it. Because mainly I talk about the pieces and I put them in the chat for y'all can read the research, and I just do that, and I just go in on it. So yeah, I'm gonna go in on this. So we're gonna go in here right quick. Let's see what they said. I don't know what he was talking about. Let me go backwards real quick. I know I got some dislikes. Yeah. Yeah. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. So a lot of dudes, they just want to hate for no reason. But yeah, I'm gonna see what I'm gonna talk about. But yeah, I'm glad I talk about this tonight because that's part of it. I'll do the Friday special madness here this week. I'm gonna talk about some different things. So yeah, I wanted to cover this tonight. But next week I'll talk about the Olmecs and things like that. I know that's gonna be a hot one, and I'm gonna stick with it. But this one is kind of, I was being tricky, but it has a lot of dark histories. I didn't want to get into the DNA stuff. I don't know where the argument's gonna go. I'm gonna stick with it. But yeah, I'm gonna tell it in full screen. So let me get a second. But for me, I just put it out here and things like that. Yeah, it's been 2 hours and 21 seconds. So this is not like a open discussion or anything. So I'm just gonna put this out here. So I know people don't want to deal with the information. It's a lot of anytime I do history streams, I keep it like a one man show. I can do that because normally it's a lot of reading and presentation. And that's just one of the things you got to do to be moving forward. So I'll be fine on this one because this one gave me the idea of what's going on and things like that. So I'm not really worried at this point. So yeah, it's only an hour and then all that stuff. And that's just how it is. So yeah. Oh, they up there talking their ass off. I'm going back to X. But that's just one of the things that you can see and whatnot. But yeah, I talked about it as much as I can, and I'm just going to do whatever. But yeah, I'll stream this coming up Friday. But this is a piece of it. You can download some of the stuff or put these in your favorite. I'll say bookmark these and add a folder. Just put some links into it, and it can help you in the long run. So yeah, I could be good. You know, he said. He said, interesting that the Canadians created a colonial group called the Olympia Group in South America to control them in recent time. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Tie it in with the North American history and the prehistoric history and break it all down with these groups. They start digging up these things and you have that culture and things like that. And then we saw the conquest and slavery. It's in there. It's got all the links in there. I talked about it in the first half of, I will say, probably an hour, and prior to that in the minutes. And I did pretty good. But the second half of this, we talked about them as well. And I talked about it last week, bringing up North America and the findings and things like that, because they intertwine with each other. But I will talk about the Olmec period with those people of the North Chico period. I might have to write that down. That's a people that's related to them. So yeah. So he said the international groupie, and that's in the chat. I'll check that out in a minute. Let me see what Mike's talking about. International in the world. He said a statement from the group, okay, signatures, and we do not recognize the legitimacy of national installed. Yeah, in January. Yeah, it's a lot of, yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what Mike's talking about. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's crazy like that, you know, because a lot of people, they just want to get into it that way. So, yeah, I saw that, Mike. That's a good piece of information. But yeah, that's one of the things I talked about. It's gonna put this out of the way. I put the links. This is like number one, number two. And so number one, we talked about all the terrains and things like that, the pottery, the people, and the culture in Ecuador, and we got all into that, right? So when you go to part two, you talk to the conquest, the Wari people, right? The militaristic side of it. See, it's part two of South America. See, the beginning it wasn't like that. So I'm saying that's the part of the piece of what you have and the mummies and the rituals and things like that. Then we get into the slavery part. Y'all can read for yourself. That's a long read. I'm not going to do that for like 3 hours. I'm just going to keep it to a minimum. So, yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to put this down real quick. So, appreciate everybody coming through. The new guy. Yeah. Appreciate you, bro. Came over at Kudas. Grinder. Appreciate you. Mike Betrote. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for the shares for China White, Ronan, and Fighter Complex. Appreciate you. And there we go. Bronzebird, Legendary Wacky World. Oh, Malik X. Appreciate y'all coming. Golden Huggins. Appreciate you. Callie Jane. Yeah. We had some indiscrepancies in these clowns. Yeah, they got timed out. And Mike V. Yeah. So, yep. I'm going to stop the screen share for a minute. Yeah. I'm going to knock this off for a minute. Yeah. Knock it down and get back into this stuff. So let me see for a minute. Yeah. He said, no problem. Yeah. So I'm kind of done with this. So I'll be on Friday, do a stream, open discussion, and I'll talk about some different things. But yeah, I had to get this one out and drop the information. So this is another history stream. In the dark history, we just talked about South American history, parts 1 and 2. And with that, I want to say peace and shalom.